841 Newstalk Sauga 960 Raw. Mike Richards along with David Bastl. And of course, as this show was on, David had announced the news, over an hour ago or whenever that was now, that the Sabres trading three-time All-Star and captain Jack Eichel to the Vegas Golden Knights. And then we see what's coming back the other way. And once again, people want to make a big deal of who wins, who loses. But sometimes you have to wait and see the talent that has traded places. And what do they look like? And for Eichel, it's going to be after injury. What is coming back the other way? So I think you kind of got to wait on this a little bit. That's my opinion. But for Jersey Jim, maybe he's made up his mind on how this thing has worked out. And we say good morning, Jersey Jim.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, it's crazy because everything was heating up so quickly in regards to the Eichel business that who would have thought it was going to happen like that? Because you heard it over the summer. Oh, yeah, talks are heating up. Vegas, this team, LA, Calgary. When the Calgary thing leaked last night and I saw Matthew Tkachuk's name, I was like, there's no way they're sending Tkachuk to Buffalo. He's the heart and soul of that team. There's no way that's happening. So I was like, all right, I'm a little skeptical on that. And I always had heard Vegas, but you weren't sure if they wanted to get rid of Krebs or not. And they finally pulled the trigger. Alex Tuch, Peyton Krebs, a first and a 2023 third round pick. And you know what? Kevin Adams held out as long as he could. But I think that the window was closing on him to get what he wanted because of the NHLPA grievance that probably was going to be filed next week on behalf of Jack Eichel. So he goes to Vegas. Look, Vegas is going all in, to quote a poker term, and for that city, they're going all in again. They did it with all their moves in the past, with Stone, with Pacioretty, with Pietrangelo, bringing in Martinez when they had both goalies in Leonard and Fleury. Bill Foley wants to bring a championship to that team within 5 years. He stated it in his inaugural season. They have a good chance to do it. The key for me is, will Eichel be healthy and up to Eichel speed come the playoffs when Vegas is there? Because that's my only concern, is that scoring has run dry the last 2 years in the playoffs. I don't know if it does it, if they get past that again, because as we see with disc replacement surgery, you've seen it in NFL, guys aren't the same. And these surgeries take a while. Yeah, 4 months recovery. He's going to miss the Olympics. Okay, that's all well and good. How is he going to perform on the ice in his first game?
Yeah, exactly. It's still a wait and see for me. It's still a wait and see.
Yeah, for me as well. I'm not sure if there's no winner and loser right now, because we have not seen Jack Eichel play since last year. No one has seen him play. He needs to have this surgery. It's probably going to happen sometime next week, I would imagine. Now that the trade has happened, he gets in, he goes through his rehab process, so he comes back after the Olympics. Vegas still has to move money to get Stone, Pacioretty, and Eichel on the books and under the cap.
The saddest part is, and you're right, Eichel will have the surgery now sooner than later. The saddest part is Jack Eichel would have been recovered from the surgery already if he would have got the surgery when he was supposed to get the surgery. And then, man, you know what? I know the Sabres probably would have wanted to keep him or whatever the situation would have been. But if he's a healthy Jack Eichel, this is what they got for Jack Eichel that we're not sure. I'm certain that he comes back and he plays, just because we're in the year 2022 and everything's much, much better developed medically. So I think the surgery is going to work. He's going to be fine. He's a younger athlete. I don't think there's going to be any problems. But imagine what a healthy Jack Eichel gets if this is what an injured Jack Eichel gets.
Yeah.
It kind of floors me a little bit. So.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, originally the Sabres were looking for like 2 first-round picks, a top-level prospect, a player that could play now. But you knew they weren't going to get 2 first-round picks for a guy that's injured and didn't have surgery yet. And like you said, imagine if he did have it and the Sabres let him do it and there was no conflict with the medical staff and stuff and let the player do what he wanted. He might have played a couple of games for Buffalo and then got traded, similar to what happened with Duchesne in Colorado. and he just gets pulled one game and said, hey, you're going to Vegas. Like, that would have happened. And Buffalo would have got a better return. Not to say that the return that they got now isn't, bad, but Alex Tuch's going to be on injured reserve for a little bit. He's not going to be playing. Think about this. The Vegas Golden Knights have traded the first 4 draft picks in their history: Glass, Suzuki, Brandstrom, and now Krebs.
Yep.
How much rope do they have left before they can't do anything anymore and they have to stay with the team that they have?
Well, the one thing that we do know is, and it's incredible, Vegas doesn't make many mistakes. Like from the decisions they've made from the moment that they were announced as a franchise, they haven't had a lot of hiccups. It hasn't been perfect, but the entrance into a professional league is unlike anything. I don't think there's even an equivalent to what they've done to immediately be a contender, and still are. We've seen one and dones. We've seen one-offs. Maybe you haven't seen enough of the team, or this collection of castaways. People didn't even know how to really deal with it. And I would have understood if they had the blip year and then just mediocre, but that hasn't happened because they're really good at what they do. Literally, they are. It's shockingly good at times. It
is shockingly good. I would say maybe 2 mistakes, maybe. And again, this is nitpicking. I'm not sure the firing of Gerard Gallant was the right thing to do at the time. Obviously, we can clearly see he can coach what he's doing with the Rangers and the system that he had. I'm just not sure Pete DeBoer's the guy to get them over the hump. Yeah. Knowing Pete DeBoer like I know Pete DeBoer, he's not saying he's a bad coach, but I'm not sure if he's the guy that can get this group over the hump.
Sure.
And I think that the contract to Robin Leonard, I know he's done everything, but not having a security blanket in Marc-Andre Fleury there, you can clearly see the team does not trust Laurent Brossoit as a backup goaltender because Leonard has been playing so much. And it's not a knock against Brossoit because he did well in Winnipeg. So I don't understand why you went out and signed him then if you didn't want to play him.
It's very true. He is a more than capable and affordable backup, and you've saved money by dealing, the one of the 2 goaltenders that was making virtually the same sort of money, right? So,
right.
I would be surprised if Brossoit doesn't play tonight in Ottawa because it seems like that type of game for him. But you have to play him more than what you're playing, and he is a goaltender that can give you 20 solid games. I just don't understand why they're not trying to hit that mark.
Same here. I mean, you saw last year in Winnipeg, we all watched him. He can play. And at times last year, he was playing a little better than Connor Hellebuck. So again, you can nitpick certain things with Vegas. It's just, to me, yes, going all in, it's great. You want to win. I think they've just lost that identity of what they were. And they were just a cast of misfits, us against the world. Now we're the Yankees of the NHL. Everybody wants to come here. We're going to spend money. But the problem is in the NHL, there's no luxury tax. So you just can't bring everybody in and try to win. So, but look, Vegas they're a contender, but let's see what they do in the second half of the season. And let's see if they can get through these injuries because, Stone and Pacioretty are out. And, Eichel's going to be out for a while too. So let's see when everybody's healthy. Let's see what this Vegas team can do.
Now, before we let you go, they did come out with the rankings for the playoffs. And of course, before it came out, I'm like, well, what are you going to do with Cincinnati? Because it is very much an exclusive club. I don't care what people say. There are certain people that they want to invite. Georgia's easy, right? So we don't even have to worry about that. But when you got into Michigan State with that huge win over Michigan, I get it. And because of the conference playoffs and how it's going to come down to see who wins what. But how do you perceive Cincinnati? Because you got Georgia 1, Alabama is 2. Okay, so that's one of the old boys club. They're 7-1. They've lost 1. Michigan's still undefeated. Oregon gets number 4 at 7-1, and as a Duck, I'm kind of, it's nice to be invited to the party, but I feel like I may not belong. You walk into that dinner party and people are looking at me like, "What are you doing here?" Oh no, I'm 4. I'm really, huh? It's like you're wearing the wrong thing. Your clothes aren't quite as good. It's like, I think his tuxedo's a rental. You know what I mean? Look, Oregon to me, it's a nice season. It's a good season, but you're top, you're playoff worthy. And then there's Cincinnati at 6, undefeated, and they'll just keep playing angry. Like what did you make of it when it first came out?
Look, I know what to expect. I really do, but I always get upset about it because no, I do. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know what's coming, but the fact of the matter is the disrespect and the insult to Cincinnati that they do everything the committee asks and the committee continues to move the goalposts. It's like, oh, you have to schedule a harder schedule. Okay. You have to win those games on the road. Okay. Granted, Indiana's down, but they still beat Indiana on the road and they beat number 10 Notre Dame in Notre Dame. That's a tough building. Yep. That's a tough building to play in, field to play in. I understand watching the rankings head to head matters. So you had to put Oregon over Ohio State. But if we're going to scope of work, Oklahoma is being punished at 8 because of their poor play this year. Cincinnati is being put at 6 because, they didn't beat up on Navy and they didn't beat up on Tulane. Well, fact check for a minute. Oregon lost to a 3-5 Stanford team, bad Stanford team, and didn't look good against UCLA. And Florida lost to Alabama lost to Texas A&M, and the second half of that Florida game did not look good. So let's be on. If we're gonna look at body of work,
Oregon didn't blow out Arizona either, and Arizona's team is a Pop Warner team. I mean, they're garbage and have been now for the last bunch of years. So if I'm looking at that body of work, I'm still looking at this to put Alabama again, Michigan State. I get it because of who they beat, but to have Cincinnati at least deserves to be the 4 to me.
They do, and the thing is, if you put them at 4 now, they'll have more explaining to do if they take them out at the last ranking if they're still undefeated. Because if they're in 4, they have to stay at 4 if they run the table, because there's no other way to put it. Look, the Big East, everything's going to play out in the Big East. The Big Ten East is going to play itself out. But it's just a constant disrespect. They say, oh, yeah, we respect. No, you don't. It's the old boys club. Nothing's going to change. The Power 5, the playoff isn't interesting because Power 5 teams will never get in. If Cincinnati was playing in the Big 12 and was doing what they were doing and had those weeks, they would be 4.
A quick question here, because I know we're going to run out of time. Spencer Rattler, does he transfer, do you think?
Yes, I do.
He's got no choice, I think, but to leave.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams is coming in and it basically just took the starter's job over. I mean, Rattler has not looked good this year for Oklahoma. That Oklahoma offense now looks like the Oklahoma offense we expected under Rattler, and he just couldn't do it. So I definitely think he's going to go into the portal. I just don't know where he's going to go.
And the transfer, it's a lot easier now than it used to be too. Like, this is not uncommon in the current state of NCAA football, so why wouldn't you do it?
Exactly. I mean, look how many guys. I think it was a Georgia quarterback went someplace. Well, what was it? Hurts went to Oklahoma when Tua took over in Alabama. So that's right. I mean, you see all these guys do it. So it's not a surprise. Look, Cincinnati's just going to do their thing and they're just going to keep playing football. And you know what? If they go undefeated, great, because and for the argument of, oh, well, they're going to get blown out. Oh yeah. Have you seen the recent semifinals? Do I really want to watch Notre Dame get blown out by 40?
Yeah.
I'd rather watch Cincinnati play Georgia in a Peach Bowl and lose by 7.
Yeah, me too.
Because that was a fun game to watch.
Well, everyone will remember when David Bastl was at William and Mary, and then he didn't like how that was going. And I believe it might have been under Lou Holtz. So I'd have to go back and look at the coaching staff. But then he goes to Grambling, which surprised everybody, including Grambling.
Yeah, I fit completely into that program.
They still talk about it.
Yeah, I was a unicorn. Yeah.
Yeah, the transfer portal, man, it works. You know it.
Hey, Jersey Jim. Appreciate it, man. Take care. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.